curse of it is that society is never going to understand you.
Being a free spirit, I think, opens doors.
We're all judges.
Welcome to Beyond the Sugarcoat. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Beyond the Sugarcoat. I'm sitting with Trishna today, and we're trying to start maybe a little series, I'm thinking, of different things that we can openly talk with each other, because we have the same mindset, even though we're 2 decades apart. And I love that, because you can make me think back to my younger self, and I probably can make you think towards the future self.
100%.
So that's awesome. So today we're going to talk about free spirit. And that's something that I'm definitely a free spirit, and I believe you are too, but I don't want to talk for you. Are you a free spirit?
I am a free spirit.
And what's your definition of a free spirit?
Ooh. Well, I think there can be multiple definitions of a free spirit. For mine, it's honestly being able to openly think without like judgment within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think we're so caught up in society where people want you to think a certain way or dress a certain way. And I always go back to our West Indian community because I feel like that's really confused me.
Yeah.
As, you know, not, I wouldn't say a child, but as a teenager, as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being a free spirit means that you're kind of letting go of those rules per se, and you're just who you are. You speak freely, not to hurt anybody,
right?
But like speak freely, you think freely, and you get to choose. You're the main character of your own life.
I like the way you said that. You are the main character of your own life. And I'm going to just stick in a little of my Vedic astrology in here, because I've always been fascinated by it. And I'm trying to put that into my show to understand it for myself. If I can help other people with that little bit of knowledge, if they're interested in it too, be great, because I am learning why I am not someone who conforms to the society I grew up in, which is watch what people think about you or say about you. What is your aunt gonna say? What is your uncle gonna say? What is the woman down the road around the corner 5 blocks down going to say? Right? They worry about everybody and what they're gonna say. And I realized on my chart, I have Mars and Rahu, and first chart is your personality, yourself. Mars is someone who's got a strong spirit, courage, etc. And Rahu is someone who thinks out of the box and very foreign-like.
Yeah.
So I got to learn a little bit about myself. I am a free spirit, and I understand why I'm a free spirit out in space with the stars, out here in this material world, the school that we're in, this educational school that we're in. I get it, because I was nurtured by Puerto Ricans for the beginning of my life. Up to now, they're still my family. So I understand now why I don't think that way. Why don't you think that way?
As far as,
being a free spirit, like I know why, because I was raised by Puerto Ricans and I was first generation here. Why are you a free spirit?
I think I'm a free spirit because I spent a lot of my life, I guess a lot of my teenage years by myself. So part of that is, usually when you're growing up with 2 parents or whatever, you can kind of like piggyback off of, whatever parent. With my dad going back and just me at 16, basically raising myself, I had to kind of make a lot of choices. Now, being 16, he kind of left me in the responsibility of other people who weren't in my household, but like were out in society, right? So I remember there was a grandma who used to make sure everything was going good. They were all worried about me because, one, I was a female, and 16 being in my household. But I made it to school and I did everything I had to do.
I don't want to make it sound like your dad's a bad guy. Why did he leave?
He didn't. It was
we don't want to make him...
No, my dad is the best. He's my best friend. He's everything, right? But no, he had to leave because of work purposes. In New York, it ran a lot better. His business ran a lot better. So he waited till I was able to drive, where I had to go take my brother to school, take myself to school. I had one responsibility, and that was to like go to school and get my, my degree and everything, and my diploma.
So he knew you were a dependent person and and you had people around you.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Everybody has a different circumstance, and they have to do what they have to do to put bread on the table.
So you have to, and exactly. And part of that is my responsibility. I felt in my household was that, okay, I have to just run things, raise my brother. And a lot of the challenges came from people wanted to tell me what to do with my life from 16 to like 21. And in that other part of it, the blessing was that I was by myself, so I got to think for myself a lot as well. So it was kind of like a back and forth thing till I really broke out of that and really accepted that I am a free spirit. I don't care what people think. You know what I mean? I know how I've raised myself. I know that I'm not doing anything to harm anyone else. Everything that I'm doing for myself has shaped me into who I am.
And you're just fantastic, honestly.
Aw.
My energy picks you up. So, but do you think it's a curse or a blessing to be a free spirit?
It's a little bit of both, honestly.
Okay, tell me.
So I think the blessing part of it, again, is that you can think outside of what other people are thinking. You know, you think for yourself. You don't have anybody thinking for you. The curse of it is that, and you can be your most authentic self this way.
No, I agree.
Yeah. You're your most authentic self when you're a free spirit.
Because you don't have other people's opinions bombarding you.
And it's not that you're like in a rebellion stage. Like I would never say that. Like you're not a rebel or anything like that, or a rule breaker. I mean, I do a little bit of both.
Oh,
but
that makes life exciting.
We got to be fun somewhere, right? But the other part of it is that the curse of it is that society is never going to understand you fully. You know, they're always going to think, oh, she just does whatever she wants, because they're not brave enough to do what you do. Yeah. You know, like kind of like
so
this.
True.
Kind of like this.
Yes.
So
I have a majority of my friends and family definitely support me. So I'm surrounded by rule breakers, I guess, or not even rule breakers, free spirit people. Rule breaker seems to give it a negative connotation, right?
But it's not.
But it's not a negative thing. It's actually people who think like that become leaders or inventors, or they think out of the box.
Exactly.
So I don't have much criticism. I have maybe one or two I've heard, like, you know, they'll say, well, I'm not really sure, because, you know, it's like talking about like your stuff. And it's like, I'm not airing out anything. I'm just talking about topics that people have to deal with life
every day.
Yeah. This is definitely, I don't consider this a risk though for me, but other people would for themselves.
They would.
This is just, it's scary because I don't know what I'm doing. I am literally just trying this equipment, trying that. Things are off focus. I'm going to have to ask my audience to forgive me and just follow me anyway and give me some encouragement to keep going. But being a free spirit, I think, opens doors.
100%. 100%. It opened the door to you. How's that?
Yeah, it did. Right? I mean, I would not have literally met you at all. There was no reason to meet you.
We had no mutual, like,
nothing in common.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, we're 2 decades apart, right? So.
Right. right. So we don't have friends and stuff in common that we would run it. We don't even run in the same community. Like, we're both Hindus, but you practice differently even than I do.
Right.
But so we don't even like go to the same temples and stuff.
Right.
But we met because of my relative who knew you as a child that I didn't know. That
knew my dad before I was even born.
And she's like, I think you two should hook up because you guys kind of have the same mindset.
And she follows me on like Facebook, where I do the lives with purpose. And she's like, wow, Trish, she's like, you need to like connect with my niece. And I was like, okay.
And when she introduced me to, she showed a clip of your show, and I was like, oh my God. And I loved it that you're still at a young age, right? To be so vulnerable and be like, I know who I am and I like it. And I love that. So congratulations on being your free spirit.
Thank you.
Can you be a free spirit and still maintain long-term commitments?
Ooh, yes. I think you can.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I think being a free spirit doesn't, if anything, it opens us up to more possibilities and, you know, more things to look forward to, right?
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily say goals, but just your aspirations are different, I think.
I agree. And because you meet different people, you meet different hobbies they have, different skills they have, different talents. And you're like, oh, that's interesting, right? You wouldn't meet that with someone who's just like conforming to society and too afraid to even try things and do things. Yeah, I think I like us better as a free spirit.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Do
free spirits define responsibility or run away from it?
That's a tough one. Do we define responsibility or do we run away from it? I wouldn't say we run away. I mean, I don't think I run away.
I don't run away from responsibility. If anything, I think I take on more responsibilities.
100%. I think we take on more responsibilities. I think that we, I don't know. I think it's more flowy for us though. Like when we do take it on, we're like, okay, maybe I'll stress us out. But then we're like, okay, we have more things that we how do I say this?
It's okay. I know I did too, then I got it back. It must have came in my head. You know what I was thinking with free spirit? Like, I know women who are not, and they just do what they're supposed to. The cooking, the cleaning, the this, the that. The husband will run the finances. He'll do this and that. But free spirits dip our toes in everything.
We're unconventional. That's the word. That's the word. I'm like, it was stuck in my brain.
Unconventional is a great word. I find that I take on more responsibility because I do stick my fingers and my toes into my children's stuff, whether I had a spouse or not, my mother's stuff, relatives, my cousin stuff. I stick it where I feel like I need to help out.
100%.
Yeah. Versus,
let's just do this.
Right, because this is what society says I do as a woman. I cook, I clean, I might go to a job outside of the house. I don't speak against my spouse or my children. And I just stay in that. And I've seen people do that and they're miserable because women have come to me and say, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could do this. And I'm like, you can.
I've heard that so much. Like, I don't understand. I'm like, but you can be that way.
You can be.
Or they'll be like, Trish, you're so brave. And I'm like,
you don't feel brave. It's like, what did I do that's so brave?
Brave, right? But I'm like, wow. And I hear it so much more often now. And even by women that are 2 decades older than me. Yeah. And I'm like, you can be exactly this way. I have a few friends like this, right? But I'm like, yeah, you can be this way. They think it's an age thing. Like, oh, she's this way because she is this age. I'm like, but you were here once. And how...
Yeah. It's good that you brought up age. It's not about age. It's about your mindset.
1,000%.
Right? And I feel like, man, I'm down here. I want to, in this little earthly experience, I want to experience all the things I can. I mean, as long as I'm a good person, I'm not hurting someone, why shouldn't I experience, and some things I don't like. Look, I'm not going to go water rafting. Okay. White water rafting, whatever. I'm not going to go bungee jumping. So I'm not that crazy. I don't think I was going to say crazy. It's not crazy, but for me, it's crazy because there's no way you're going to have me hanging by my ankle on a string, bouncing up and down in the air.
Daredevil.
No. But, you can still be a free spirit and not go be someone who's...
I think part of being a free spirit is just being open-minded.
Yes.
And we're really total opposite of closed-minded people. I don't even remember the last time I was closed-minded about something, which is...
I can remember being closed-minded on some things because my family surrounding me thought a certain way.
Right.
Like, people shouldn't marry out of their race. Oh. Right? We have that in our culture. And I would be like, okay, I get that. You're right. But honestly, as I've grown up, I'm like, hell no. You marry whoever makes you happy. But they should try to conform to you. I think religion should be something that you should try to kind of have an understanding of. Right. Even if it's different, at least understand it before you decide to be with that person.
Right.
I don't know why I'm going off topic. I did go off topic. No, but I felt like it made sense.
It did make sense. It did.
Okay,
It flew.
That's old age. So I told you that I saw that my free spirit, I could see it in my chart because I am studying the Vedic astrology. So I believe they're born. But do you believe they're born or you think they're made? Or are they both?
I think they're both.
Okay.
I think they're both.
I think so too.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe you're born as a free spirit, but at what point in time in your life does it get revealed? And I think it's the experiences you go through in life that shape your mindset, right?
Right.
And then you're able to be like, oh, okay, I can think for myself. I can do this.
And that's such a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember some things that I would think because I was raised that way. Like I saw some things black and white. And then I started seeing shades of gray. And then I started seeing colors. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is so wonderful that I can see more than that little box
that society puts you in.
Exactly.
I think even when I started my lives or when I started really showcasing myself on social media, not in a bad way, but really to inspire other people. My whole reason for putting myself out there and being vulnerable with people is so that I inspire others.
Yes.
Right? But I also got a lot of backlash from people as well. Oh, you shouldn't be putting your body out there
you shouldn't be putting your business out there.
I'm posting a picture of me having a genuinely good time with friends,
right.
And why is that being attacked versus supported? And then you kind of realize as you grow, it is the people that are very closed-minded, the ones that are judgmental, and we're all judgers.
Yeah, we're all judgers.
We all are judgers, but it's to what extent, right?
Right.
And I think that in itself not made me smaller. I mean, I did have moments where I felt like, oh, maybe I should step back. But then I was like, what am I doing? I didn't feel good about myself. I felt like I was closing myself off to the world. Even in relationships, I had a boyfriend that didn't like me putting myself out there. And I'm like,
was he a current boyfriend?
He was.
Or an ex-boyfriend?
An ex-boyfriend, no.
Okay.
An ex-boyfriend.
How dare he even have a say?
I know.
That's why he's an ex.
Exactly. But yeah, when he said that, I was like, wow. But that opened up my mind more, and I was like, well, I guess you're gonna have to go find someone who's like submissive and
that makes you happy. Yeah,
exactly.
And I look at people like that. When I take a step back, I'm like, wait a minute. When I try to look at that from a bird's eye, the situation of me and them, I'm like, wait a minute. That sounds like a you problem. And you're going to find me say that sounds like a you problem a lot on my show when I talk about relationships or things about people, because it really is a reflection of that person.
It is.
How has free spirit gotten you into trouble, and was it worth it?
I've gotten in trouble a couple times.
Oh, do dare tell.
Oh my gosh, I've gotten in trouble a couple times. I mean, whether it's in friendship, but let me speak specifically with me and my dad, because again, my dad is 3 decades older than I am, right? So his mindset's completely, or was completely in a different place than I am. And then also raising a daughter that's free-spirited is not for the weak. So.
No, I can imagine.
But he did that. I think he has a lot of influence as to why I am the way that I am. So just in family, I'll speak on family because it's an open topic about it. I don't feel any type of hurt way. So with family, there was a lot of times where it's like, you know, I felt like and this is me after me discovering this whole free spirit itself, would try to control me or control his way of thinking and thoughts.
Oh, influenced him on how to control you.
And how to control me.
Sneaky.
And not understanding like the relationship that I have with my father is so genuine. It's so real that I can talk to my dad about anything. And a lot of daughters and fathers don't have that relationship. So for me, it's a blessing, right? So they would try to control that, and then it would influence his mind. And his mind was a lot more, you know, it could be influenced because it's like, oh man, like if it's my older, you know, people telling me, or my cousins telling me, or people that he's grown up with that still have that closed-minded mindset. West Indian, you know, like traditional ways.
It's not, and just to interject, it's not just even a West Indian. We can speak for that because we're West Indian, right? But a lot of people have this closed mindset.
Yeah, in society in whole. I'm speaking personal to like our experience, because that's something that I really, I'm like, why is it like this? But anyway, he would be very influenced by how they would speak and be like, oh, well, Trishna's doing this or she's doing this. And he's like, okay. And then he'll come and he'll talk to me about it. But I'm like, why does that bother you? Because they said something? Right. And then that would cause like a friction between me and him. And I think eventually, as like the years went by, my dad accepted who I am. And he's like, wow, no, you're a lot of me. So I am a lot of my father. My father is very... So
he was possibly fighting his own self within you. That's an interesting... That's an interesting one.
100%. I think I lived a lot of my life trying to do things that my dad didn't have the opportunity to do. And I think that's what kind of closed me off, because it didn't allow me to be who I really wanted to be. Right. And then eventually when I did what he wanted me to do, and I got to this point in my life, I'm like, okay, well, I did everything he wanted me to do and I just don't feel complete. I'm like, that's when I really discovered who I was. Right. And that's where the whole free spirit me came out.
You know, I really do admire you being so young and vulnerable to everybody, because vulnerable is not a weakness. It's a strength to say, hey, I like myself enough to be comfortable with telling you who I am. Right? Yeah. That's very brave and very like really knowing yourself. I feel like, I'm not trying to pat us on the back or toot our horn, but I feel like that take you to the next level of awareness and spiritualness, right? And your spirituality as a person is learning to accept yourself. And then once you can do that, like we said, it opens all kinds of doors.
It does.
And on that note, we're going to close this door, because I think we did some really good information here with each other. Yeah. Thanks for joining us on Beyond the Sugarcoat. See you next time. Bye. It didn't need your number. Wow. Oh, this stayed on too. Wow. No, that was a stupid ending.